Here with Joel. Tell me, what was the Big Brother Canada experience like for you?
Big Brother Canada experience was everything that I'd hoped it'd been and more. Definitely winning head of household competitions, competing in so many vetoes, getting as far as I did in the game was very, very overwhelming. So it was everything that I dreamed of.
You know, when you cast your vote last night, you said that this vote is going to perhaps the luckiest player in Big Brother Canada history. Can you elaborate on what you meant?
I think what I meant by that is that I don't necessarily think that the brothers were the strongest strategically, were the strongest socially in the game. I feel like they got a lot of lucky breaks to get to where they were, but there's a lot of luck involved in this game to get to where you are, and I didn't think necessarily that looking at past winners of Big Brother that they had necessarily gotten where they did on their own accord. I felt like they sort of stumbled along a lot of times.
There's two things that surprise me about the brothers winning. The first is if I see, if I'm a single house guest, in the house, and I have a pair of people coming in, first thing I do is let's target them. There's two of them. Why didn't that happen?
I think that didn't happen because people saw them maybe as somebody who could help them, that there were two people who could help them out, and there was that going. But at the same time, I think they were fortunate enough to buddy up with some people who saw them in a different way. I know for myself, with them and our French connection that we had together, I definitely saw them as just genuinely good people who I could buddy up with. So some people saw it as a disadvantage. I saw it as an advantage from the very beginning.
When Gary came back to the game in the first season, I was just like, there's no way I'd ever vote for him because he was already evicted and then he came back. Was it a similar sense in the jury with Kelsey, who left the game and then came back? Like, was there any resentment towards that? And did that have anything to do with the final vote?
For me, it had a little bit to do with it, from the fact that clearly she made some mistakes to make herself a target at the very beginning of the game and to get evicted. Like, sure, there's a whole bunch of other factors that play a part in it, but at the same time, if you're getting evicted from the house, you clearly made some mistakes in the house. So for me, it played a little bit of a factor in it. And plus, I think the underlying thing for my vote, though, was the fact that I felt like the brothers had made more individual decisions for their own game to win, whereas Kelsey, I thought, was always sort of playing a team game rather than an individual game.
You were sitting in such a good position that many people thought you were going to win, and then it all came down to that one veto competition. Can you talk a little bit about regret? Are there any regrets about those decisions that you made, or do you sort of feel comfortable with every move that you made in the game?
I feel like every move in the game that I'd made up until that point was a good move, and then I didn't just put my foot down and say, this is where I'm going. I think I could have just gone to sleep at that point and potentially made my way to the end on one side or the other, but at the same time, I should have just said either I'm going to go to sleep or I'm going to pick one side or the other. I made the wrong move in that power veto to say, okay, I'm still going to work all angles and hopefully have everybody help me out. And that was a foolish move on my part. I should have just, if I decided I was going to win that veto, I should have said, I'm going to win this veto and I'm going to have Tim help me out, because those are the people that I'm more loyal to, and those are the people that I felt I was going to go to the end with and make it to final two.
I'm really interested in your theories on if Tim made the final two. Here you have a guy who's already won. He's from, he's not from Canada. If he had made it to the final two, if he had won that final competition, would you have voted for him, or would you have held the fact that he's not Canadian against him?
No, that never crossed my mind throughout the entire game. I always voted on somebody who I think played the best social game, the best strategic game, and was the best at competitions. And in my mind, between the combination of the three left, Tim was head and shoulders the better player in those categories, particularly the strategic and the social aspect of things. Tim had everybody wrapped around his finger. Tim had everybody believing that they were their winner, that he was going to help them go all the way to the end. And Tim, if he was there to win for himself and made it all the way to the end, he deserves the accolades because he always played just brilliantly.
And finally, I feel like you really came out of your shell in the house. Do you feel that way too? What kind of experience does this give you in the sense of sort of finding yourself?
It definitely shows me that it's okay to be vulnerable and show a softer side of yourself. People always talk about when you're in this game, you can't play emotionally and you have to play with your head. And that's true to a certain point, but there are times where you can show your vulnerable side. You can show that you're a bit of a weirdo, and it's cool to do that because you're just being raw, you're being who you are, and I think that's what helped carry me along. That's what helped people really like me in the house and want to team up with me, was that they saw somebody who was just a genuine good soul.
Amazing. Joel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Murtz. Appreciate it.